And that breaking news is in Oakland, where the standoff between police and protesters has intensified in the past 15 minutes or so. It is another night of anger in the streets over the Trayvon Martin verdict. Good evening, I'm Dan Ashley. Carolyn Johnson has the night off. Minutes ago, Sky 7 HD was overhead as protesters and police faced off in downtown Oakland. Officers have made at least 5 arrests tonight. ABC 7 News reporter Alan Wong is on the phone live with the very latest. Alan?
Hey, Dan, just a few minutes ago, the march stalled near Broadway and Telegraph, where protesters are facing off with police. The vandalism is not as widespread as this weekend, but things are getting pretty intense down there. Just about 15 minutes ago, protesters started throwing things at police, and the police answered back with flashbang grenades. This is an emotional crowd. Many of them say the Trayvon Martin verdict opened up the wounds of the Oscar Grant verdict. It started out peaceful, but like most of these Oakland demonstrations, the crowd dynamic changes dramatically when the sun goes down.
By nightfall, the protesters had dwindled to a crowd of a few hundred. They marched around Lake Merritt. Then a small group tried to march up the lakeshore on-ramp to I-580. Earlier, another small group made its way up the Broadway off-ramp and onto Interstate 880, holding up rush hour traffic momentarily.
Officers have reported rocks and bottles being thrown at them, and we are effecting arrests.
How long will we allow this to happen? It can no longer happen.
The protest began with a rally at City Hall. Some demonstrators talked about the emotional impact of the Trayvon Martin verdict and how it affects their lives as parents.
I have fear. I can't sleep at night until I know that my sons are at home in bed. That's how it is for me. Mario
Hankton says his father-son lectures are different now.
Be aware of who you're around, how you're perceived. Be wary of potential danger, even if it's coming from people who are supposed to keep you safe.
Small business owners are upset too. They feel the police didn't do enough to protect their property despite the history of these demonstrations in Oakland. Alexis Filippello says she was not happy with the interim police chief's response to her.
He said they didn't think this was going to happen and that they were really surprised.
Tonight, police were out in force monitoring crowd movements and corralling them away from the business district. In Oakland, Alan Wong, ABC 7 News.
In Los Angeles, half of the protesters broke off from their march this evening and started attacking cars in the Crenshaw neighborhood. Look at this. They started hitting one driver and smashing the car before it took off. There he goes. Several protesters also rushed into a Walmart through security, though security ultimately chased them out. And for the first time, one of the jurors who acquitted George Zimmerman is talking. She wanted her identity concealed, but bluntly answered whether she thought race played a role in the killing of Trayvon Martin.
I think just circumstances caused George to think that he might be a robber. There were unbelievable a number of robberies in the neighborhood.
So you don't believe race played a role in this case?
I don't think it did. I think if there was another person, Spanish, white, Asian, if they came in the same situation they were Trayvon was, I think George would have reacted the exact same way.
That juror is writing a book about the trial. She says Zimmerman had his heart in the right place, she believes, and is only guilty of not using good judgment. Well, George Zimmerman has gone into hiding, but his parents spoke with ABC's Barbara Walters today. You can see their reaction to the verdict just ahead on Nightline tonight at 12:35.